For the Jewish members of our community and those around the world, Passover begins at sundown on Friday. Here's Lisa Sugar with Dan Cardonic, the CEO of the Jewish Community Center of Scranton.
For people not familiar with Passover, tell us the significance behind it.
Certainly. So Passover is an 8-day Jewish holiday that marks the Jewish journey from enslavement to freedom as the Israelites departed ancient Egypt. So it comes straight from the Torah, where we're commanded to retell the story of this exodus from Egypt after God sort of unleashed a series of plagues on the Egyptians. So Jews observe Passover with many different rituals. Family will come together. They'll have a Seder, which is the Hebrew word for order. And we retell the story with sort of symbols that we put on a Seder plate. So there are like 6 items total. And a couple examples would include bitter herbs, where we would use, say, horseradish, which represents the bitterness of slavery, and parsley that we dip in salt water that represents the tears of slaves. And we retell the story using a text called a Haggadah. And a more important tradition that we remove all leavened foods before the holiday and abstain from them during the 8 days. So this is primarily grains. So in substitution, we eat a flattened, unrisen bread called matzah. And the symbolism is that the Jews were in such a rush to leave Egypt, they didn't have time for their bread to rise, so they ate unleavened bread. So while we remember the bitterness of slavery during Passover, it's also a joyous holiday because we're celebrating our freedom. And it's symbolic to recline at the Seder table, because that's the sort of the symbolism to being free. And during the Passover Seder, we also drink 4 cups of wine, which represents our redemption. So Passover, is our opportunity not only to remember how the Jews were kept as slaves in ancient Egypt, but also to celebrate our freedom, from slavery in ancient Egypt. And it's a big family holiday where people will come together and celebrate.
Well, Dan, I know COVID took a toll on everyone's celebrations for the past 2 years. So are things hoping to get back to more normalcy this year?
Absolutely. The last couple years, it was been very difficult due to COVID for families to come together, obviously for safety purposes. And so it became more traditional in the last 2 years to do a virtual Seder, meaning that families would bring to the Seder table a computer and have their family members from across the country or even the world, log on and join in virtually while one family led a Seder. And but now I think what makes this year's holiday more special is that it will be the first time in 2 years where many families will come together again in person in order to celebrate.
For those who are not Jewish that are Christian, Passover and Easter are always around the same time.
But there is a connection. It is believed that Jesus' Last Supper was a Passover Seder.
The Christians are celebrating Easter and the members of the Jewish faith are celebrating Passover. So this is a wonderful time for both religions. So we hope that people will have a wonderful dinner. Are you going to be participating in Seder dinners? You told me that some people hold multiple, so some hold one every night during the celebration.
That's correct. So traditionally, many Jewish American families will hold Seders on the first 2 nights of the holiday, and some may hold on the last 2 nights also, and some actually may have it every night during the 8 days. My family will be having one on the first night, and usually the second night, we usually get invited over by friends or family, so we may consider going to someone else's house for the second night. And it's also a great holiday, to do mitzvot, which is a good deed. And we are actually here at the JCC. We'll be distributing vegetables and fruit to those who may be in need for the holiday, as well as for those that aren't in need. We'll be selling some vegetables and fruit that they can use for their Passover Seder as well.
Today's news feature is brought to you by Falvello Law Firm. Have you been injured in a car accident? Call Falvello Law Firm. Your case is our fight.